going to talk today about attachment, and specifically, I'm going to highlight anxious attachment. So, first, what is attachment? Attachment is when we are connecting with someone close to us. And typically, we see this when we are children with our parents or caregivers, and then it shows up also in our romantic relationships as adults. It's how safe we feel, how much we trust this person, how close we allow ourselves to be with them and allow them to be with us. And the ideal is that we all have a secure attachment, that whether it's our parents and caregiver or our romantic partners, that we trust them. We don't feel uneasy or scared that they're going to reject us or leave us, abandon us, and we are able to communicate effectively with them, and we can be alone and feel safe alone and feel comfortable alone. And oftentimes things can happen for many of us in childhood that disrupts developing a secure attachment. This can come from, all sorts of things. It can be as extreme as trauma with, abuse and neglect. It can also be where you have an emotionally absent parent, or even a parent who, because of their job, is traveling a lot and isn't around, or because you've moved around a lot as a child. And just because you've had some of these events in childhood does not necessarily mean you will not develop a secure attachment, but these can be factors to create a more insecure attachment. So, in terms of insecure attachments, there are three types: anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. And today we're going to focus on anxious. So, with an anxious attachment style, this is where a person is very afraid that their partner is going to reject them in some way or abandon them, leave the relationship, cheat on them, withhold things and not be honest that could be detrimental to the relationship. And what can happen if you're dealing with an anxious attachment style is your mind can just run away with all kinds of stories of being rejected, being abandoned, in the face of there not really being evidence to support that something's going wrong and something is happening and your partner is about to leave or reject you in some way. You may be asking yourself, am I somebody with an anxious attachment style? And what does that mean? So, some of the signs of an anxious attachment style is that you may feel worthless or unworthy of love from someone. And you may have times that you feel jealous if you see your partner talking to someone else. It can be jealous because they're spending more time with coworkers than you, or it could be jealous that they're talking to someone that you feel like they're flirting or that this person could steal them away from you. You often would have trouble being alone. You'd feel anxious, you'd feel insecure when you're alone. Regulating emotions can be harder. Regulating the nervous system, the um, body sensations that can accompany the fear. It can be hard to communicate with people directly. We may um, just hold things in and not say something because we're scared that this person is going to reject us, for example. Or we may communicate it in sort of an indirect, passive aggressive way that is not effective in getting our point across. We can also see with an anxious attachment style a sensitivity to criticism because there's a low sense of self, a low self esteem that goes along with feeling unworthy. And so if someone says something that we hear as even just the slightest bit critical, it can make us feel pretty dysregulated and we can feel very sensitive to that. Communication is an important tool to be able to use in addressing an anxious attachment. It can be helpful when you're talking to your partner to inform them of your history, of things that have happened that you feel like contributed to some wounding and has led to you having insecurity in the here and the now. in your current relationship. And it's not to tell them they need to do anything different. It's just so that they're aware of your vulnerability. And sometimes there may be where you have requests that you may make of your partner, but the key piece with communication is making things clear that it's your insecurity is not because of your partner or anything that they're doing. Another piece is soothing. Because what happens, if you feel like you're somebody who struggles with an anxious attachment, think about what happens in your body when you've got one of those narratives going, one of those stories that your mind is telling you of, oh, leave me. I know they're cheating on me. They have to. They keep coming home late, whatever the piece is that's informing the story that's being told. And notice, what is it that you see happening in your body? You may notice that your chest, your breath is more shallow. You might find your muscles tense. You may find your stomach has sort of a sickly, churning kind of feel in it. You may notice your jaw being tight. You may notice yourself feeling fearful. That's because your central nervous system is being activated. The amygdala part of the brain, which is our primitive part, thinks we're in the jungle and that a tiger is about to jump out of the tree and eviscerate us. And sometimes what we know to be true logically and what we experience in our bodies don't line up and say our bodies didn't get the memo that our life is not ending. So the self-soothing is where you can focus on different strategies for calming the nervous system, for regulating the nervous system, calming the body. And this can be anything from working on breathing exercises to taking a shower, lighting a candle with a scent brings you calmness, peacefulness, going for a walk. It can be any of those types of things. Sometimes distraction is another tool that can help. If you find that you just cannot untangle yourself from the fear story that's going in your head and you can feel it snowballing and getting worse, listen to a podcast and something on TV to watch that you can get lost in. Pick up a book that has nothing to do with your life and you can lose yourself in the story. Anything like that that can help just take your mind to a different place is going to be helpful. As you work on developing a more secure attachment in the present, signs of a secure attachment that you may start noticing shifting in yourself is that you can trust people more easily and you can communicate more effectively in being direct in what you're wanting or what you're needing or what you're wanting somebody to know. It You'll notice that you can regulate your emotions and thus the body sensations that accompany them more effectively as opposed to feeling like you're held hostage by your feelings and it feels like they're going to just completely drown you. You're able to allow yourself to be close to someone and allow them to be close to you, and you can manage conflict in a healthier way because you're less afraid of the rejection and the abandonment, either because you're more trusting as well as because you know that you can be okay even if the person does leave. And the other piece to say on that is you're more comfortable if you're alone. It's not as scary as it would have been before. So, those are things to look for in terms of doing your work towards developing a more secure attachment. So, just to review, there are things that you can do to help yourself go from an anxious attachment style to a more secure type of attachment. And the different tools that we talked about today are psychotherapy. Therapists can work with you to help you develop a more secure attachment. It may even start with your connection to your therapist and developing a secure attachment to your therapist. There are communication strategies of learning to be able to be more direct and also informing our partner about some of our history that makes us vulnerable. And then there's the self soothing distraction, the coping when you're in the midst of the fear, the storytelling, the forecasting of bad outcomes. And then, of course, all of this to be able to hold it all in this energy of self compassion. Because one of the things that can happen when you're experiencing this is you can feel crazy. You can feel like you're broken, that you're too much. All these self critical messages can come into play as well that just exacerbates the anxiety in the first place. So being able to recognize that there's a reason that this is something you struggle with. You didn't ask for this, you didn't create this. You had times in your past, either childhood and or a previous relationship, where you were wounded in such a way that it has left you feeling insecure and anxious when being close to people, and that's a hard thing to deal with. It's miserable. If you are somebody that has an anxious attachment style and this is resonating, you know that it is miserable when you're in the throes of that anxiety and that fear being so high. And so just having that self compassion towards yourself, that you're suffering and that that's hard and that you deserve to be soothed. You deserve to feel more secure in your relationships. And the self compassion can then help you in terms of being motivated and having the energy to do some of the work that is very hard, to move through some of the fear in order to develop that more secure attachment. So, thank you for listening to this today. And again, you can read more about me as a therapist on my website, which is just catherineclemmer.com. And I hope you all are able to do the work that you're wanting to do so that your life can be fuller and more quality filled. Thank you.